Hello and welcome to a Star Citizen November 2017 monthly report going over the last few weeks in Star Citizen's development, as well as some info on what they're currently working on and the future. There has been a major push getting Alpha 3.0 to PTU. 3.0 will go to more and more backers as they push towards Christmas, trying to get it into a live build state or at least a PTU for everyone. That's the sort of thing they're aiming for. Let's take a look at what each of these studios have been working on and their teams, starting with CIG Los Angeles. So engineering there have been polishing features for 3.0. As with all the studios, it's going to be very 3.0 centric, with quantum travel there also being a major focus. They've been integrating all the item systems in ships with UIs in order to bring a real sense of control to cockpits. Tech design have been bug fixing item system 2.0 for ship setup, as well as various ships final lighting, getting their setups done for that as well. They've also updated the gladiator animations as well as ship headlights and worked on the save game logout functionality for logging out anywhere there's a bed. So that's going to be very important for persistence and logging back on for Alpha 3.0 Live. Art has spent a lot of time polishing the cast of Squadron 42, as well as characters and assets for 3.0's live release. There's also been a lot of rigging and simulating new costumes for Squadron 42, solving and supporting vast amounts of mocap data for the game too. More work continues on concepts for clothing, armour and items. They have updated a lot of ships to take advantage of new tech, from new lighting groups, fog tech, rendered to texture screens, as well as making sure things that need to be airtight for oxygen gameplay are actually sealed and not leaking atmosphere or oxygen out. They've also been working on the Hurricane, Cyclone and Mustang for future updates. Narrative have been expanding the Xi'an language, which is now speakable and learnable. The community have been helping with a lot with that, helping flesh out the language and how to speak it and learning it at the same time. With Squadron 42, they've been discussing set dressing and props to help expand the environmental storytelling in-game. Tech content have continued to work on various procedural and game features, code performance improvements, bugs with lighting and viz areas, and developing scripts and shader tech to help with performance as well as procedural city work. There's new improved tech for derelicts, outpost locations, and a planetary placement system, as well as ship lighting. They've been getting all the ships working for 3.0, focusing on issues with UV2 damage, landing gear compression, viz areas, and log spam errors. Gas effects are being added to the door breaching effect that it's in 3.0, because you can now lock doors as well as breach into them. New weapon attachments and animations have had a lot of work too, and apparently weapon attachments and that sort of system and the animations for that will have multiple uses. Let's take a look at CIG Austin. A focus for design there has been getting shopping ready for 3.0. They've outlined the desired game balance for income per hour goals, as well as adjusting both the mission reward calculator and item prices accordingly in verse, as well as ship respawn times and prices to get your ship back and all that sort of jazz. They will continue to collect data, and this is going to help balance income, prices, and progression in-game in the future. There are roughly 15 separate places to purchase items in-game at the moment, with different stock across the stores. Some additional features added to UIs are AI markers have now been replaced with the new item highlighting feature to fall in line with the overall loot system. Inner thought is now being used on objects where try on, inspect, or buy are concerned. Armor can now be purchased in separate pieces. All item names are now unique. First pass of the shopkeepers is now in as well, and the shopping UI has been cleaned up a lot. Art have finished up the white box modelling and a light pass on the Constellation Phoenix. That's that luxury Connie model. It's actually in-game in the dev branch at the moment. Obviously, we don't have access to that, but they do. They're flying it around. The other Connies, as well as the Hornets, 300 series, and Nox, have had their interior and exterior lighting states updated and have had more efficient levels of detail. The LODs. Work also began on the white box modelling process of the Anvil F8 Lightning, that heavy fighter that should be featuring quite a lot in Squadron 42, but we don't 100% know anymore. Back-end services have been tuning and improving. You can rejoin a session if you disconnect now. There have been improvements to data integrity and service stability. Looking to the future, the engineering team has been building up the next generation of back-end services. The team is aiming to split up all larger services into smaller, stateless services, further enhancing the back-end architecture. Animation fine-tuned bed entry and exit animations, which is part of the new persistent save system. When you log out in 3.0, 3.0, you're going to wake up in a bed with your ship in its last location. They helped finish the Gladiator enter and exit animations as well as getting mocap for the Cyclone, that ground buggy. They have worked on Squadron 42, getting all the usables functional and bug-free. I actually suspect this is part of what they're going to be showing us with Squadron 42's centric December or holiday livestream. Also, at the same time as that livestream, they're going to be sharing the roadmap for Squadron 42's completion, which is a big thing. A huge amount of work has gone in from QA, player relations, operations, together from pretty much every studio. They've helped push 3.0 to the PTU, and they're supporting its continual polish, bug fixing, and evolution. Foundry 42 UK, so the graphics team there have improved rotating moons, created a new glass shader, and completed a pass on ship canopies, as well as worked with some render-to-texture, multifunction display, and Mobi-Glass stuff in order to make these screens more legible in bright conditions. They've also been working on new shield effects too, using particles rather than meshes, something we've sorely needed for a while actually. Ship's team have rapidly made progress on the Hammerhead, with the exterior and mesh being effectively game ready, because they had to make that video for the anniversary for its concept cell. That said, it's still got a lot of work to go, so don't expect it in-game anytime soon. The 600i internals corridors have been fully fleshed out, and work with the exploration module, bridge, exterior, and landing gear has all progressed. The Idris has entered a polish and bug fixing phase. The team supported design with usable setup, and started to see interactive items such as seats, benches, and beds being usable by the player and AI. The Vandal Void Bomber art is completed, damage and LODs are being set up, the Carrack is further into its grey box. They focused recently on engineering and habitation for inside the Carrack. They are taking these sections to final geometry, and then they're going to take it in engine and create materials and lighting and that sort of jazz for it as well. Other than the Hammerhead concept, they also created the Anvil Hawk, but have another ship and vehicle in development. I'm assuming the vehicle is the Tumbrel vehicle that they said would go on concept before the end of 2017. The ship, however, I have no idea what it is at this point. On the environment side, they have explored areas of Hurston, landing sites, hangars, and general building look development, as well as some high-level exploration of microtech, so they're continuing to develop those sites. Weapon development also continued, making the first of the associated science and development distortion repeaters, as well as refining the Hurston electronic beam cannons. So VFX worked on shield improvements, improved ship-specific effects like atmospheric entry and quantum travel as well. They've, along with the rest of the studios, been cleaning up their spam log and whittling down error logs. There was a lot of Squadron 42 centric and specific tasks tackled. Work has ranged from coil-specific plasma experiments to mysterious debris clusters and distant storms brewing, but it's all a bit hush-hush exactly what they're doing for Squadron 42 stuff, as it kind of always has been. Hopefully we'll see more at the holiday livestream. Environmental Art have been planning the tech roadmap for further city development work. They're continuing to develop and look at memory budgets, engine rendering, city building shaders, and night and day sequences. They've also improved outposts at nighttime by adding more light so players can actually see better when on the dark side of the moon near objects that they might want to interact with. They also have started work on converting the old Area 18 into its future form. Animation team at Derby ran an in-house head camera system motion capture shoot for the Galactic Gear Hammerhead segment. They've also worked on the 10 heads that were scanned from CitizenCon, and obviously are continuing to work on polish Squadron 42 stuff. The Wilmslow animation team, though, which is what we normally talk about when we're talking about Foundry 42 UK's animation team, they've been working on AI-focused combat, chopping assets up to fit in new metrics, providing placeholder assets to prove systems out, cleaning up existing assets as well. They've also been going through the performance capture data and creating game-ready locomotion, idle and fidget assets for cast characters. The Idris memories had a full sweep, so the design have all the animation assets for a master at arms and his weapon interactions. Engineering have been focusing on 3.0 obviously, and getting it into PTU with lots of bug fixes and finishing off features. They've also, however, been working on aspects going forward with the social AI, making NPCs and AI feel and look less robotic, more interactions with their environments and that sort of jazz. Let's check out Foundry 42 Frankfurt. Weapons there finished the Castec Arms Custodian skins that were made at CitizenCon, as well as starting production on 2 new FPS weapons, the Gemini H29 HMG and the Torel Aggregate oh my god, Kahix missile launcher. It's a missile launcher. I don't know how to say the names of all the little manufacturers that make them. Clearly, ship weapons have started production on the ANR laser cannons size 1 to 6 and the Galison tactical ballistic Gatling size 1 to 3. Lighting have been focusing on 3.0 tasks, especially with performance in Levski and helping differentiate lighting in shops based on their locations. A large amount of focus will now shift to various areas for Squadron 42. Engine have been wrapping up some new items for 3.0, investigating and addressing existing bugs, as well as general optimizations. Lots of progress has been made on optimization for both server and client. They are now testing engine scaling with players, with server hardware, and making improvements with CPU thread scaling for extra performance with users that have many threads, and hopefully the game will be less CPU bound is the idea here, and it will have better scaling in the future, and it will make use of all your CPU threads. Area management has also been improved, only tracking changes in states of items and objects now, or when actively searching in an area, that's when items will be tracked. Should be a lot less overhead for the game. Memory leaks have plagued the PTU, however, and they've spent time collecting data in an effort to fix more of these. This has all allowed for them to do these 128 player tests in 3.0's PTU with the current PTU servers as of patch 3.0 AD, I believe, at 40 players, but they're going to keep on changing. It was 50 previous to that, and then they keep on pushing it up and testing with different server settings and stuff. They've further improved temporal AA, or anti-aliasing, and post-processing for better image quality. Skins and characters now have more efficient mesh compression, saving memory and lowering rendering overhead, as well as further optimizing GPU usage. They just keep on doing that, to be honest. All of the graphical stuff and the general network stuff is going to constantly be tweaked and improved from patch to patch. Level design there have focused on Levski and surface outposts, getting them completed, and they're now working on common elements. So these are components that each location will use, like hangars, garages, houses, offices, so that they can all be tied together into their modular system and combined with various tile sets, so they can quickly block out areas like spaceports and landing zones. They also looked at train stations and monorails for their flagship landing zones as well. So we'll hopefully start to see those in places, and possibly they might be travelable on as well. VFX, so they've gone to almost every visual effect in the game to ensure there's no issues. They also continue to flesh out GPU particle system stuff, and they keep on adding new features to it. The team is approaching the point where old CPU-based systems can literally be phased out, and they can rely almost solely on GPU for most effects throughout levels and the universe, making the game hopefully a lot more efficient. They've also worked on applying signed distance fields to their particle effects, so 3D textures that specify the distance to the surface of an object. System design have been working on the mission giver's behaviours, finalising them for implementation, getting Miles Eckhart finalised, and a template defined for him for future mission givers. So they're going to be using all the work they've done to Miles for lots of mission givers in the future. It's all systems they set in place, it's not just one use cases, as well as getting the admin officers, so the people that you deliver items to for quests, getting their behaviours integrated with the mission system. Environment art have been polishing 3.0 for the best possible visual experience, and are now looking towards the future with procedural cities, ArcCorp, Hurston, and the rest of the Stanton system, as well as a whole new range of ecosystems and unique vegetation. Tech art did various skinning tasks that will be used for both the Persistent Universe and Squadron 42. This is going to help with character variants as well. They've developed a tool which can help artists export animated geometry into Engine more efficiently. For weapons, they finalised the setup on the Gemini R97 shotgun and prepped the missile launcher for production. AI there, so AI have kind of been focusing a lot on FPS combat, and they've got some major improvements in there, as the system design team worked with AI to make sure that characters can enter enter, exit, peek, and shoot from cover, and that their behaviours look as natural as possible even when doing other actions. They've also addressed bugs and tweaked things that are required for 3.0, the focus being on that AI and how they interact with usables, doors, rooms, breathing, and how other players interact with them as well. Subsumption conversations can now be much more complex and have deeper conversation branching. They're refactoring the way that AI controls vehicles as well. In the future, behaviours won't run anymore on the spaceship themselves. They're not like the AI. It'll be the different seat operators literally controlling the ship, and they'll have different behaviours, and that will affect the way the ship operates and runs. And operator skills can now directly influence the actions and vehicles, like multi-crew ships can benefit from the different NPCs operating the various seats. They also worked on manned and automated turrets, getting that experience there as best they can. Over at Turbulence, Spectrum 3.7.1 was released, and this consisted mostly of bug fixes, quality of life improvements, and some unnoticeable changes, more to sustain the long-term development and maintenance of this. The Delta Patcher has also been implemented in 3.0's PTU, and is being used to great effect. After an initial download of the game now, you'll only need small relevant updates, and they've been making improvements to that as well, just ergonomic stuff with like verifying files. We'll also now check for updates and that sort of stuff. They've had background music and soundtracks and things as well. Only one major item actually really remains for the version 1 of the launcher before they can kind of mark it off as ready, and that's the specific handling of the initial download and like fetching what data exactly it needs. Also, now with the release of 3.0 live, there's going to come the much needed website redesign and a new production roadmap that will be vastly different from the text versions of roadmaps that we've had previously. Very much looking forward to that. That's going to be quite a major change. And obviously with the holiday live stream coming up as well, we will have roadmaps for everything, which will be really good. Every month we have a giveaway. For December, it's a massive Orion mining vessel. That's the sound of it mining. Donated by our featured org Self-Made, an organisation looking at all types of gameplay with a lawful neutral kind of stance, and a focus on developing you as a character and an individual and not being a dick. Links below if you're interested in joining that organisation. All you need to do to be in for a chance of winning that Orion is be subscribed to my YouTube channel and comment on any of my Star Citizen content during this month. Do you have any questions for me about the monthly report, about Alpha 3.0's development, about Star Citizen's development in general, Squadron 42 or anything? Chuck them in the comments below. A special thank you to my Patreons who allow me to create the amount of content I do. If you're interested in becoming one of them, you can find the links to Patreon down below, as well as everything else we've talked about. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really does help me, and I'll see you in the verse.